The key to engaging the journey to whole health through the whole health core are spirit and soul practices. Practices are ways of opening to the energy of spirit, ways of allowing inspiration. The spiritual journey is like swimming. You can read a book about swimming, or you can go to a lecture about swimming, but there's really only one way to learn how to swim. You take the plunge, you get in the water, and you begin splashing around. A coach is helpful and can provide feedback and guidance. However, no one can learn to swim for you. You alone do it. So too with the journey of spirit and soul. You engage in the practices. You splash around with the Growing Edge Journal. You engage in mindful awareness practices, and you stretch yourself in the team huddle. You alone do it, but you don't do it alone. There are three basic spiritual practices in Whole Health Core. They are the Growing Edge Journal, spiritual conversation, and mindfulness meditation. We'll touch on each of these practices briefly. Throughout the history, individuals have written about their spiritual experiences. One could say that sacred scriptures of world religions began as spiritual speech and spiritual writing. A distinctive spiritual journal entry is by Blaise Pascal, writing some 300 years ago. He said, "People are generally better persuaded by reasons which they themselves have discovered than by those which have come into the minds of others." As we say in the Whole Health Core, you alone do it, but you don't do it alone. The Growing Edge Journal is a resource for self-reflection. It's likely that you're not used to this spiritual practice, and so may discount it as not being helpful. It's true that it's difficult to keep a journal. You're invited to take the plunge, however, to splash around and give it a try. A key spiritual truth is that individuals have access to a wellspring of insight from their own inner lives. A journal is a way to allow that insight to surface and provide guidance. Another famous journal was kept by Dag Hammarskjöld. He wrote in his book, Markings, "Our work for peace must begin with the private world of each of us. To build for man a world without fear, we must first be without fear. To build a world of justice, we must be just." A helpful practice is to keep a daily journal. The best time to write in a journal is the first thing in the morning. 1 page a day is a good way to start. Simply write out the date and begin writing. It's helpful to do some spiritual reading ahead of writing in the journal, kind of to prime the pump. Reading an inspiring author gets the creative juices flowing. The journal can also be a quick review of the previous day and an anticipation of the day ahead. The Growing Edge Journal is a place to include gratefulness thoughts for the beneficial events in your life. It's also a place to document challenges in your life. Just as in learning to swim, one may splash around for a good bit at the beginning. Even so, persistence pays off with insight and even inspiration. A second key spiritual practice for Whole Health Core is meditation. The notion of meditation covers a vast expanse of practices across the spectrum of spiritual traditions. Joe Bailey and Richard Carlson wrote an important book, which has really a great title, Slowing Down to the Speed of Life. Modern electronic culture proceeds at a pace that's too rapid for the soul. The body heals at a particular pace, as it has since the dawn of humanity. The soul also heals at its own pace. The soul heals from the injury of grief, from the injury of lost love, and of trauma. Modern electronic life speeds life up so that the soul has less time to heal, to adjust, to be at peace. Human beings have practiced meditation for thousands of years. Meditation slows the mind so that the soul is able to flourish and open up and reveal wisdom to guide your life. Whole health encourages mindful awareness, which is the outcome of meditation practices. The most basic and universal form of meditation is breathing meditation. We breathe all day long. Learning to focus on breath as a meditative form is practiced in most religious traditions. Biblical religions understand spirit as breath, since a living person breathes and a dead person does not. Spirit is the energy of life. Breathing meditation opens us to this life energy as it slows down our thinking as well. If you feel you don't have time to meditate, you probably do need to meditate. As with all the spiritual practices, breathing meditation is learned by practice, just as swimming is learned by swimming. The third major spiritual practice that Whole Health Core will emphasize is spiritual conversation. Spiritual conversation is simply a conversation about what one believes and how one sees their life unfolding. Whole Health invites significant discussion on the meaning of life. One way of entering the discussion is by conversing about mission, aspiration, purpose. St. Francis of Assisi, who is one of my favorite saints, states his life purpose in the form of a prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Francis' aspiration then would be peace. His mission is to engage in concrete actions that would be peacemaking. One of Francis' main peacemaking actions was caring for the poor and for the lepers who lived near Assisi. It was helpful to discuss how others, such as Francis, see their life mission, aspiration, and purpose. There is a river of spirit available to all. Like the rivers that moved Lewis and Clark on their way to the Pacific, the river of spirit leads the way to robust wellness and whole health. There are three key vehicles for our traveling this river: meditation, spiritual conversation, and the Growing Edge Journal. Whole Health Core is the journey of your life. It's the adventure of your life.